Welcome back to Pokemon episode summaries. Today, I'll be doing episode 75, Bad to the Bone. The episode begins with Ash and the gang going to Professor Oak's laboratory for advice on training for the Pokemon League, since it was fast approaching and Ash was like, oh shit, I've barely done any. When he tells Oak about this, Oak gets immensely pissed off at Ash's carelessness, stating that if he was gonna bother not training, then he might as well not even enter the Pokemon League in the first place. However, if he was planning on going, he was out of training time now, and should be on his way, because the league was about to start. Ash quickly rushes back to his house in order to grab his things and say goodbye to his mom, which Misty and Brock also do, thanking her for allowing them to stay in her house for a few episodes. And she just says, no fucking problem, guys. See you after the league, because I'm not going to be relevant until then, probably. Also, Oak says goodbye to them too, and he's happy now for some reason, so I guess he was just mad and concerned for Ash. Ash and the gang then begin their trek to the Indigo Plateau, the location of the Pokemon League, with Brock leading the gang through a grassy field, because apparently his map told him that it was a shortcut to the Indigo Plateau. But how would a map tell you that a random-ass grass field was going to take you to a plateau? Like, what the fuck? Anyways, as Ash and the gang are walking, they get jump-scared by a shadow, which reveals himself to be some sort of fucking ninja dude named Otoshi. Otoshi then proceeds to challenge Ash to a battle, and the winner of the battle gets to keep the other's gym badges, leaving the other with no badges and unable to participate in the Pokemon League. He stated that the reason why he was doing this was to whittle down the competition a bit more before the actual league began, claiming that he was participating in the league as well. Ash initially declines the offer, because why the fuck would he accept? All that it's doing is putting his badges at risk, and if he lost all his badges, he probably couldn't even win them all again, because he got so many due to free handouts. Misty and Brock are against Otoshi as well, as they warn Ash not to accept the battle, which solidifies Ash's decision to absolutely decline Otoshi. Or not, because Otoshi, being the cunt that he was, then taunts Ash that he was simply afraid of losing to him, and that if he was scared of battling him, then there's no way that he would stand a chance against the Pokemon League's top trainers. So what, you're just admitting that you're not a top trainer, Otoshi? Okay. But Otoshi's attitude pisses Ash off, so he decides to accept his challenge, wanting to beat his ass up. So bad to the point where he would put his badges at risk. The battle then begins, as Ash sends out his Bulbasaur, and Otoshi sends out his Marowak, leading Ash to use the Pokedex on it as usual, as it states that, despite Marowak being a small bitch, it was actually really strong. Ash doesn't worry about this though, as he orders Bulbasaur to use Tackle, but unfortunately, the Tackle isn't very effective whatsoever, as Marowak stealthily dodges, and Brock then proceeds to warn Ash about Marowak's speed. Ash then has Bulbasaur use a Vine Whip, but Otoshi counters by having his Marowak use a Bone Club, which was only more heavily enforced by Marowak previously using Focus Energy to strengthen its attacks. The Bone blocks the Vine Whip, which catches Bulbasaur off guard, so Marowak can use that to its advantage to go up to Bulbasaur and strike him down, his Focus Energy helping his speed. Although Bulbasaur wasn't quite down yet, it was severely injured, so Ash decided to substitute Bulbasaur out for Pikachu, as it proceeds to race towards Marowak, charging up a Thundershock. But then, Marowak proceeds to do a whole bunch of Bone Clubs, which forces Pikachu to have to cancel its Thundershock, and instead pivot towards doing a whole bunch of dodging with agility to successfully avoid all the Bone Clubs. But eventually, Pikachu is able to get off a Thundershock, as it shocks Marowak, winning the battle. Let's go! Otoshi proceeds to get down on his knees, fucking crying in sadness, as Ash comments to him on where the fuck the badges were, because he won the battle, right? He wanted some extra badges now. It's not like he could use them, but hey, might as well take them. It's then revealed, though, that Otoshi had no gym badges, and he had challenged Ash in an effort to simply try and gain all the badges in one shot. Ash gets pissed off at this, obviously, because he had to work for his badges in all 8 battles, and now this guy thought that he could just steal all of them in one fell swoop. However, Ash immediately then feels bad for the guy, as he reveals the reason why he had no badges. It wasn't because he didn't try, no. He had won all of his badges, fair and square, and we see proof of this through Otoshi beating Koga, Surge, and Blaine, as well as several other gym leaders. But then, he states that a talking Meowth had stolen the badges from him. Ash immediately knows that by talking Meowth, he meant none other than the Meowth from Team Rocket. That's right, Team Rocket were now not just stealing Pokemon, they were stealing badges too, fucking cunts. Otoshi then explains how he actually managed to get his badges stolen from Team Rocket. That's right, fucking Team Rocket actually did a successful theft. But essentially, Otoshi and Marowak were very, very hungry after doing a whole bunch of training, so they were desperate for some food. And Team Rocket had placed some fruit on the ground, so Otoshi and Marowak eagerly ran up to it, not questioning why there was just random fruit in the road. And when they grabbed the fruit, it was revealed that it was placed on top of one of Team Rocket's classic pitfall traps, which Otoshi and Marowak fell right into, allowing Team Rocket to take the opportunity and steal Otoshi's badge case. Ash immediately changed his mood, and was now feeling very sorry for Otoshi, and declared that he was going to help him get his badges back from Team Rocket. But Misty and Brock warned him that if they stayed behind to do this filler side quest, then they'd be late for the Pokemon League, the actual important arc of this anime. Ash counters, though, that if all of his badges were stolen, he'd want someone to help him get them back, so he should do the same to Otoshi. Basically just a treat others the way you want to be treated rule. Ash then recalls all of the victories he's had, and all the ways that his Pokemon have helped him in all the gym battles, such as Bulbasaur, Charmander, Pidgeotto, and especially Charizard against Blaine. Likely realizing how if he lost his badges, then he probably wouldn't be able to win some of them back, due to getting so many handouts. So that just further intensifies his want to help Otoshi get his badges back. Misty and Brock are still hesitant, as they're like, okay, if you're worried about not being able to get your badges back, if you were to lose them, then we should head to the Pokemon League right now, so that you don't have to worry about potentially having to earn them again. Ash finally manages to convince Misty and Brock to help him and Otoshi look for the badges, though, by stating that one trainer losing their badges is like every trainer losing their badges, because the potential trainer that lost their badges could have been the winner of the Pokemon League, and they simply just didn't enter because they had their badges stolen. So that would mean that would potentially take away from whoever did end up winning the league. Meanwhile, as for what Team Rocket was up to, Jessie had departed, but James and Meowth were sitting by their balloon, bragging about how easy it was to steal that fucker Otoshi's gym badges, and James wanted to look at them again, likely wanting to analyze how much they could be sold for. Meowth went to go find them in the balloon where he had stashed them, but he panics as he realized that they weren't there anymore. Did this mean that Team Rocket was stolen from? That'd be a fucking twist. Well, actually, yes, they were stolen from. As Meowth revealed that Jessie had helped him hide the badges in the balloon, so she would know where they were located, and now suddenly, Jessie was gone, so that must have meant that Jessie had stolen the badges. James then remembers that Jessie said she was going shopping, and he found it strange that she had a big green bag with her, not knowing what was in it. This makes Meowth realize and confirm the fact that Jessie did in fact steal the badges, using the fact that she was going shopping as a diversion, and the green bag that she was carrying must have actually contained the badges. Meowth was pissed off, and he vowed to get the badges back. Meanwhile, as for Jessie, she did in fact steal the badges, and was walking down a path on the way to the Pokemon League. It's revealed that the reason why she stole the badges was because she wanted to compete and win, and she wanted to win all by herself without James and Meowth, so that she could take all the glory and all the prizes that would come with becoming a Pokemon League champion, without having to share them with James and Meowth. Fucking selfish bitch. Meanwhile, back with Ash and the gang, Ash's plan to find the badges for Otoshi was to send out his Pidgeotto and have him go scouting for Team Rocket. Pidgeotto eventually comes across Team Rocket's balloon, which James and Meowth were currently using to look for Jessie. And Ash and the gang, who were currently trailing Pidgeotto, then decide to attack Team Rocket, with Ash ordering Pidgeotto to pop a hole in Team Rocket's balloon, sending them crashing down. Before James and Meowth can even try and escape the balloon, Otoshi runs up to them with his Marowak and threatens them to give back his badges. James and Meowth panically try to explain the fact that Jessie had actually stolen the badges from them. But Misty doesn't believe this, and demands that James and Meowth let them search through everything that they had on their balloon to make sure that the badges weren't there. James and Meowth reluctantly agree, not wanting to get their ass beat by either Pikachu or Marowak, as Ash and the gang proceed to look through all of their shit. And boy, for poor people, Team Rocket still had a lot of shit. I mean, look at all this shit. We got pencils, we got sunglasses, we got brushes, we got books, look at all this shit. We got bottle caps, checkers. At the end of the day, though, all absolute junk, as Brock confirms. James bitterly replies that a lot of this junk actually had sentimental value to him. Oh yeah, sure, buddy. I'm sure a fucking bottle cap has sentimental value to you. Actually, I wouldn't be surprised if it was you, James. Anyways, it seemed like James and Meowth were telling the truth after all, so Ash and the gang proceeded to actually believe them for once. Obviously causing Otoshi and the Marowak to get extremely upset, as now, not only were their badges gone, but they had no way of knowing where Jessie was, so they couldn't retrieve them. Marowak was especially unhappy, though, as it proceeded to have a childlike temper tantrum in pure fucking anger. Otoshi wanted to know how exactly Marowak was feeling, and Meowth agreed to translate for him. Marowak was essentially mad that Otoshi had let all of the badges get stolen, and therefore tarnished all of his hard work that he had put into earning them, and because of this, he didn't want to be Otoshi's Pokemon anymore, believing him to be an incompetent and useless bitch. Marowak also thought that Otoshi was an idiot for falling in the fucking pit that led to the badges being stolen in the first place. Although the Marowak had willingly fallen into the pit as well, so I don't know if it had a point there. But despite this, when Otoshi pleaded with the Marowak to stay with him, the Marowak absolutely declined, slapping his hand away, which caused Otoshi to scream in pain as Marowak walked away. Otoshi tried his best to comfort it and assure it that they would find the badges as he walked away, but Marowak did not turn back. A frustrated Otoshi began to take out his anger on Meowth, blaming him since Meowth was the translator. Man, maybe you are a fucking cunt, Otoshi. It wasn't Meowth's fault. I mean, I guess it was. He was responsible for stealing the badges in the first place. Never mind, beat his ass. Anyways, Ash and the gang console Otoshi by explaining to him that Marowak would likely come back if they got the badges back, they just had to find them. Ash and the gang and Otoshi then set off to go do so, leaving James and Meowth behind. James and Meowth then decide to go back into their balloon and search for Jessie on their own, wanting to find Jessie before Ash and the gang could, so that they could steal the badges back themselves, as opposed to Ash and the gang and Otoshi. Meanwhile, Jessie anticipated that Meowth and James would have discovered that the badges were missing, so she had decided to put on a disguise so that James and Meowth wouldn't recognize her, the disguise being one that she would typically use, being of a beautiful woman of some kind. While walking, Jessie then comes across another trainer who is going to the Pokemon League, and they show each other their gym badges, and when Jessie sees these badges, she wants them too, because she's a selfish bitch. You don't need 2 sets of badges, Jessie, come on. Her reason was simply that they were pretty, but I don't know, is it really worth it to potentially unveil your identity just to get some pretty things? Like, maybe steal something actually valuable. Anyways, she's unable to steal the badges, as Meowth and James were flying overhead in their balloon, and had spotted Jessie, and James instantly knew it was her, despite her disguise, due to the costume resembling one that she had worn before. See, I told you it was similar to her previous style. So, right as Jessie attempted to steal the badges by causing a diversion, simply telling the trainer to look in another direction, which they stupidly obliged to, Jessie suddenly hears the Team Rocket motto being said by James, which she immediately questions, as James proceeds to throw a smoke bomb. allowing him to sneak down and join Jessie and the other trainer down on the ground. Despite wanting to grab those badges as soon as possible, Jessie still joins in with James's motto, even though she had tried to leave Team Rocket behind, because she just couldn't resist doing the motto. She loved the fucking motto so much. When they do the motto, this reveals to the trainer that they were in fact Team Rocket, causing the trainer to run away in fear. Jessie initially screams at James and Meowth for causing her to do the motto and reveal herself, even though she's fucking totally in charge of her own will. She willingly did the motto there. But then she realizes that with James and Meowth now having caught her and now stolen back the badges from her, she had nowhere left to go if she didn't join back Team Rocket. So her anger turns into sadness as she realizes that now she had nowhere to go, as Team Rocket wouldn't accept her back and she couldn't go to the Pokemon League. Seeing Jessie's sadness, James, being the idiot that he is, feels bad for Jessie and decides to give her another chance, stating that he would only do so if she promised that from now on they would steal everything together, like before, and not try and pull another stunt like Jessie did. Jessie agrees, but only under the condition that she still got to be the meanest Team Rocket member. James and Meowth agree, just desperate to have the status quo back to normal. But once again, I think James and Meowth just should have left Jessie high and dry here. For one, it would have broke the status quo, and two, Jessie kind of deserved that shit. She's a selfish bitch. But no, we have to keep the show's episodic nature. Man, I can't wait for Pokemon Horizons when there's actually more of a serialized story. But anyways, Ash and the gang and Otoshi then arrive to confront Team Rocket, as Team Rocket has been fucking standing in the same spot for so long. It's no wonder that Ash and the gang had found them. But anyways, Ash and the gang and Otoshi demand the badges back from Team Rocket, but Jessie's like, nope, you're gonna have to beat me in a fucking Pokemon battle first, bitch. I guess maybe Jessie wanted to prove that she was good enough to actually be in the Pokemon League? Maybe, who fucking knows. But it's not Ash who battles them this time, but Otoshi. Hey, good on you, Otoshi. You're actually taking responsibility for your own badges. You're not just relying on Ash. But anyways, Otoshi sends out his Doduo, since he doesn't have his Marowak, and Jessie sends out her Arbok, because why the fuck would she use Lickitung? Meanwhile, Marowak, still angry as ever, was walking through the forest, noticed a trainer training with its Nidoran, a trainer training with its Chansey, and a trainer training with its Hitmonlee, and seeing all these bonds between trainers and Pokemon as they trained reminded the Marowak of all of its memories with Otoshi, such as doing Ice Baths and jumping through fires, Marowak almost killing Otoshi with the fire by accident, eating watermelon with Otoshi, even though that wasn't training, that shit was just fun. And Marowak decides to go back to Otoshi, tears in its eyes as it felt bad for being rude to him, as it remembered all the fun times they had. Meanwhile, back with Team Rocket and Ash and the gang, Otoshi's Doduo was getting its ass beat by Arbok, being hit by it multiple times, unable to do anything. This causes Doduo's two heads to start arguing with each other, blaming each other for how bad they were, and this leads Ash to pull out his Pokedex and learn more about the Doduo, because he was curious as to why a Pokemon would try and fucking fight itself. Like, you think that the two heads would have figured out a way to work in unison by now. I mean, they've been together their entire life. Like, could you imagine if actual conjoined twins hadn't figured out how to work together after living with each other their whole life already? Like, damn. Anyways, Arbok takes advantage of the Doduo's arguing and uses Constrict, which heavily injures the Doduo. But instead of knocking it out, Jessie decides to try and steal it and capture it for herself inside a Pokeball. Now, this was obviously foolish, as since the Doduo belonged to Otoshi, it wouldn't have worked anyway, but that wouldn't have been enough of a Deus Ex Machina moment. So instead, Jessie's Pokeball is stopped by Marowak, who had returned to Otoshi and utilized its bone to deflect the Pokeball, much to both Otoshi and Ash and the gang's happiness. Otoshi then proceeds to put Doduo back in its Pokeball so Team Rocket can't attempt to take it again, and he lets Marowak finish off the battle. Arbok tries to use Double Edge, but then Otoshi commands Marowak to utilize its good old focus energy strategy to make itself faster, and then it proceeds to use Bone Club, which was now sped up, allowing it to stop Arbok before it could get off its Double Edge. Marowak then uses Boomerang to send Arbok flying into Jessie. But before Arbok can make contact with her, James pulls a Deus Ex Machina moment of his own and sends out Weezing at the last second to catch Arbok before it made contact. With it now being a 2-on-1 battle, Marowak was clearly going to struggle, so this meant that Team Rocket had the opportunity to escape back to their balloon, so they began running away. But then Ash decided to join in on the battle to make it a fair 2v2, and had his Pikachu use Thunderbolt on Arbok and Weezing, sending them flying into the balloon, which caused another hole to be popped. And the balloon then proceeded to explode, sending Team Rocket blasting off, as Otoshi commanded Marowak to deliver the finishing blow with his Bone Club. The balloon exploding also fortunately caused all of Otoshi's badges in the badge case to fall out of the balloon. Misty thankfully catches them before they hit the ground and proceeds to return them happily to Otoshi, who then asks his Marowak if it now wanted to join him in the Pokemon League, and Marowak gladly accepted, not only just because it had the badges back, but because it had realized how much it loved its trainer. Aw, so wholesome. Brock then acknowledges how him and Misty were wrong after all about putting the Pokemon League before the importance of helping somebody. Yay, happy ending. Not really though, as despite Brock claiming that helping somebody was now more important than going to the Pokemon League, he then realized that they were set to be late, as the league was literally about to begin. So he immediately essentially retracted this statement, as he told Ash and Misty to hurry up, and they ran towards Indigo Plateau as the sun started to set. They could see it in the distance though, which meant we were finally here. No more filler episodes, it's Pokemon League time.